Today is the day you will be getting your watercolor paper for your final dragon eye. You will only get one piece of watercolor paper, and that's because it is very expensive. So make sure you follow the directions carefully. The first thing you can do when you get your paper is to fill. One side is smooth, one side is a rough texture. So decide what kind of a texture that you would like to have on your dragon eye. You will also be using your pencil for the first part, and then we'll be using watercolor pencils for the skin. You will get one watercolor pencil, and it cannot be black. And that's because everybody needs to use the black for the pupil, so we cannot have any black skin dragons. So make sure you get one color, and it cannot be black. Now I know watercolor pencils look a lot like colored pencils. They are not the same thing though. The color part right here is a lot more brittle, and when you put it on your paper it tends to smear. Because this is a lot more brittle, we cannot sharpen these to a point, and I don't want you to sharpen them unless they are not making a mark on your paper. If you sharpen it to a point, the top will just break off and you will be losing a lot of expensive watercolor into the garbage can. So make sure you only sharpen when you need to, and that's because it's not making a mark, and never sharpen to a point. The order is also very important when we are going, and that's because the watercolor pencil smears. Again, watercolor pencils, we will be blending with water, whereas the colored pencils, we blended with the pencil itself. So you just need to put kind of light lines today. You don't have to blend them like you do the colored pencils, because these will blend with the water. Also keep in mind, when we blend with the water, it will darken. So keep that in mind as well. So the first step we're going to be doing is our dragon eye with our pencil. And if you want to have it go diagonally, you can, so you can kind of tip your paper a little bit. If you want that flat and kind of more angry eye, you can do that. And then more of a rounded base. And just flip your paper over. Then we'll be doing that little curved part. This part will be the same color as your skin color, so you'll be putting your watercolor pencil there for your skin color, and then the little curve on this part. Then we're going to be getting the iris, and if you wanted to have the flames, and again I would do this slightly so you end up not seeing your pencil, because we're not going to be erasing anything. If you just want the iris, you just do your curved part, and your curved part just kind of like it is a round circle shape. Okay? Then you're going to be choosing your pupil. Again, make sure it comes from the top. And then next, most importantly, you are going to be doing the highlight. So just a little round area like that. Okay, then you will be drawing your eyelid, just kind of where it would be, just very, very lightly. And that is if you're going to add like horns and things like that. Any horns, if you want to add them first with your watercolor pencil, or any warts, that's probably a really good idea. That way you don't have to erase any of the watercolor pencil. Okay, so then I'm going to get my watercolor pencil, and I'm going to apply a layer quite darkly around in the first part of the football shape of the eye. And we're just doing skin today. We're staying on the outside part of the eye. So make sure that's where you're staying. I want to overlap that. And then I can trace my horns that I made. And then you can start adding your wrinkles and things that you want to have on your eye. So wrinkles, scales, warts, you're just going to kind of continue in the process of adding all those layers. Kind of want to press firmly with it. And if you have curved lines, then it's going to make it look like a curved portion. You can keep the same type of scale like we talked about yesterday. You can add lots of wrinkles. To your dragon. Make him look like an older type dragon. You can kind of bring the scowl up. If you want to have somewhat of a brow, you can add that. Kind of bring it low if you want it to look a little bit angrier. And then you can tuck that behind. So again, if you want to add any warts, do that before you get to a scale. And then you're just going to be adding your different shapes for your scales. Don't do anything too complicated. And then make sure that you're going off of your paper with your wrinkles and scales and things like that. So completely go to the edge of your paper. You don't want it to look like it's just an eye. We want it to look like it's attached to a dragon. And again, remember, follow the correct order. You're just getting one colored pencil today, not black, and you're following and going along shape of the eye with your pencil, and then trace it with your watercolor pencil, and then make sure that you get all of your scales going off to the edges of your paper.